5.2 1.
The problem was, it was at exactly the same time as my exam session. I had to choose between studying for my exams and getting involved in a case. Well, I spoke to my professor at university to explain the situation, but he told me it would be impossible to rearrange the exams. Obviously, there was no way I'd expect the takeover to wait for a better time for me. I considered trying to do both, and perhaps doing less revision than I needed, but my exams were too important for me to take any risks. In the end, I had to put my studies first. When I explained this to my employer, they were actually very supportive, and when they saw how disappointed I was at missing the opportunity, they made sure I got more involved in the next big case that came up. That happened a few months later, and it was a fantastic experience. And because I'd had a chance to study properly, I passed my exams with a very good grade. So, it all worked out in the end.
2.
My role, although crucial, was a bit less glamorous, designing the electronics to actually make it work. It was a fairly straightforward job, so I wanted to be a bit more creative. Anyway, I put together the electronics very quickly, but I wanted to try something new. So I started playing around with extra features. A remote control, a timer, different speed settings, that sort of thing. I'd never done anything like that before, but it was a great way to learn. The other guys in the team really liked my ideas, so they adapted their designs slightly to take advantage of my modifications. In the end, we won the competition, and the judges specifically mentioned my extra features as an important factor in our success. And of course, I learned a lot of new skills in the process.
3.
My boss told me to phone and tell him we were going to stop supplying him with goods and to threaten legal action. I wanted to be a bit more delicate because I'd built up quite a good relationship with the customer over the time I'd worked there. So I called him to find out if everything was okay. It turned out his accountant had been taken ill and he was trying to do everything himself, and it got into a mess. Some of his other suppliers were threatening him with legal action, and he just couldn't deal with all those problems and keep his business going at the same time. I agreed to give him another month to repay, and we continued supplying him during that time. This gave him the freedom to hire a temporary accountant, and within a few days he'd managed to sort everything out. So we actually ended up getting paid within a week, and from then on he was a perfect customer, and recommended us to plenty of other new customers.